Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dark Souls 3, The Second Journey. I am Jake Muncy, I am a writer and critic for Wired.com, and I'm a big Souls fan. And so what you're going to see on this stream and in the archived YouTube videos if you're watching those, is me play Dark Souls 3 for the second time through. I'm going to be commenting on design, on narrative, on themes. I'm going to talk about like a game critic would, and I'm just going to try to have fun with it and show you guys some things that maybe you might not have noticed if you're playing through quickly, or if you hadn't, already been spending a little bit of time with us. So you can start New Game Plus by just going to begin Journey 2 at the Firelink Shrine after beating the game. It does not send you there automatically. That's worth knowing. So, let's begin Journey 2. I am sure. Thanks for asking, though. I appreciate that. That's very polite. I hope the FPS counter in the top corner doesn't bother anyone. It's there for my benefit. I'm trying to not to talk much during cinematics or dialogue, though there is quite a lot to say about all of this. So it appears that, like New Game Plus in the first game, I don't remember about the second game. I think in the second game too, it's skipping over the big pre-rendered intro cinematic and starting me on fire. Interesting. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cemetery of Ash. The starting area. You have risen from the grave. Okay. Same old messages. I kept the souls I had. I wonder if I keep any of my key items. No, all key items are gone. But everything else is intact. Okay. So, that intro cinematic that you didn't see, if you haven't seen it before, it was an early trailer of the game. You can find it pretty easily. It just details the situation in the world, which is that, for some reason, everything has gone bad, as it so often does in the Dark Souls world. And the Lords of Cinder, who it doesn't really explain who they are, but they're those who link the fire. They have risen from their graves, and they've abandoned their thrones. What precisely that means is currently unclear. Okay, that is a really big soul item. That was not that in the original game. It was a very small one. Soul found in the corpse of a proud paladin, used to acquire many souls. Let the Firekeeper transform this sovereignless soul into a source of strength, for to be unkindled, that's an important word, is to be a vessel for souls. So, the Lords of Cinder have risen from their graves, and the Bells of Awakening, or I guess they're not called that, but the bells that have rung for some reason, have woken up the unkindled. You are unkindled. These guys, pretty easy. Oh, I never noticed this dude before. Let's take a look at this guy. Here are my binoculars. How did I miss this guy the first time? See, this is why you play again. Okay, he's wearing the Elite Knight set. Is this Oscar of Astora? So this character, his outfit and his gear, has a very significant resemblance to a character named Oscar of Astora, who is the first individual you meet in the first Dark Souls game. He is the tutorial character. He tells you what's going on, he helps you out, he gives you the Estus Flask. He gives you your first mission. Here, he's wearing the same set and has the same shield as Oscar, and he's very, very dead. I never noticed that before, around this big bowl. That's an interesting little connection. As you can see, I'm also wearing the Elite Knight set. I chose it this time because I thought it would just be nice and iconic, a good way to start. So, feel free to chat in the chat if you so wish. I am not going to be looking at it very much, but you're welcome to use it. Let me check something real fast. Pause. Okay, cool. Alright, just want to double check. Make sure I was indeed broadcasting properly. I am. Let's continue. Okay. There are some people here. The thing about New Game Plus games is they start out very, very easy. Because I think they like double the amount of enemy HP or something like that. I'm gonna come back here a bit later. I want to be ready. But of course, your strength is gonna be much more than doubled. I'm level 100-ish, whereas you start the game probably somewhere at level 9 or 10. So the first few areas, typically in New Game Plus of From Software games, like Dark Souls, etc., very easy. But the difficulty ratchets up considerably. I'm interested to see the subtle ways they manage that difficulty curve. Okay. So, this is Cemetery of Ash. This big crumbling graveyard at the base of a large wall. Let's look at the wall. I'm probably going to do this a lot, so bear with me. Okay, we can't throw up that much higher, but it's a very large wall. That's the bell? That's the bell, I think, that rang and woke you up. Along with, presumably, these very friendly hollows. These messages in the first area mostly tell you how to play. I know how to play, so I'm not terribly interested in those. But I think it's just someone just right off the edge. Let's watch. Yep, there he goes. You can see, yeah, this is a better view of that big wall. It goes up to a castle-like structure up top. It looks a lot like the wall of Lordran in the first game. Lordran is a walled-in nation, and this wall bears a strong similarity to it, although who's to say if it is or is not the same wall. See, there's a bonfire right here. Rest at bonfire, that's a handy message. Oh, frame rate drop just then. Okay, so now that I've done this, I'm gonna come back. I think I probably missed a couple things in this little starting area. I also didn't go to where the game said turn back, and I am gonna go there. I'm getting a little katana, you can see, and a shield called the Shield of Want, which the fleet-footed and attentive among you might recognize as Vindrik's shield from Dark Souls 2. There's a lot of returning items and things like that. And one of the fun parts of streaming New Game Plus, I can kind of show off a few of my favorite later game items and play with them in the early parts of the game. So there will be some item spoilers. I'm going to try to avoid spoiling anything else. I'm not going to talk about anything that happens in the game until we get there. But you will see possibly some late game items and gear that I want to play with. That's part of the risk and part of the fun. So this is heading toward... Okay. Yeah, alright. Looks like I've combed this area pretty well. And now we're gonna go to the place where the designers... You can tell it's a designer message because of that bell icon. Player messages don't have those icons. They have different icons. Or no icons? I'm not honestly sure, we'll check. But this one, the developers kindly tell you to turn back. Which may or may not be a challenge. So, actually hang on, I'll wait. I don't think that item was there before. A speckled stone plate ring +1. Huh. Fancy. You learn that I'm not an incredible Dark Souls player. See picture. This guy is not terribly tough. He's harder if, you know, this is your first time through. It does take a lot of damage to take him out. So I got, let's see what I got. First I got a Titanite scale. Titanite altered by a soul. It is a gorgeous beast, Derek Sanskrit. It looks a lot like the crystal golems from the first game. All the bright colors, crystals, etc. It's very nice. In rare cases, crystal lizards devour souls, growing a monstrous proportion and leaving these great scales. This is, I think, the first reference that players in the first game are going to notice and be delighted by, because the crystal lizards are the tiny, innocent little things that you attack to get special upgrade items. They're very small, they don't do any damage. Slightly ups magic, lightning, fire, and dark damage absorption. Fancy. Stone plates are symbols of true knights, and speckled stone plates are granted to those who face an endless journey. Huh, very cool. But the idea that a crystal lizard would get giant and try to murder you is an interesting idea, I think, if you're familiar with crystal lizards from the first Dark Souls game. So, as we move forward, I want to discuss something that I'm going to have to, probably again and again on the stream. I have a thesis for you. Dark Souls 1 is about death. Dark Souls 2 is about memory. Dark Souls 3, I think, is about legacy. It is about what you leave behind after you die, or fulfill your destiny. Dark Souls 1 is about the act of death, and the possible rebirth that death might indicate. Dark Souls 2 is about memory, about what you take with you when you die. And when you move into a new world, what parts of yourself, parts of your past inform your present. Dark Souls 3, I think, is about what happens afterward. Hence, perhaps, starting in a graveyard. And moving toward there. Some sort of chapel. Let's go. Alright. These guys, just regular hollows, wearing big billowy capes. I wonder what's with the capes. Perhaps it's some sort of burial gear. That actually makes sense. Burial gowns, perhaps. They look a bit like, I don't know, fancy-ass. You know? I'm doing so hot. Oh, thank you. I really thought I was going to roll right off the edge there, and that would be my first death. That would be a little embarrassing. I'm gonna be honest, I would be a bit embarrassed. But that did not happen. I'm sure it'll happen in some other ridiculous way, probably this first boss. Fire bombs, nice. I never read the description of that soul of an intrepid hero. I've not seen that before. Soul found in the corpse of an intrepid hero. Informative. Cool. One neat thing about finding, souls of other people is it gathers up this feeling that Dark Souls, I think, rather likes to evoke. That you are doing things that other people have done, and that these other people have not gotten quite as far as you have. That you're always pressing a little bit further, working a little bit better than the people who've come before you, hence finding their corpses, getting their items, these mighty heroes or vagabonds or whatever, but you're always surviving where they didn't quite. Okay, these are all still tutorial messages. I wonder if no. That makes sense. I guess it probably kind of is if they let you do that. People trying to troll new players. I mean, that happens anyways. If you ever see a message that says try jumping in a Souls game, look very, very closely before you jump, because chances are you shouldn't actually jump. Okay. So now, giant tree, grave growing out of the tree, which implies that the grave was here first. Interesting. These candles lighting up graves. This big memorial area. And in the center, this guy. Got a sword in his chest and something you should probably see a doctor about. And there's a door over here, which I don't believe you can open. Ooh, one of my messages was raided. That's exciting. I think that heals you when it happens, so I'm pretty sure I had full health. Visions of Dark. Cool. And not much else to do here. This grave is really intriguing to me. I wonder, did this guy come out of that grave? Whoever came out of it, big fella. It's not clear. You can see more of that castle from here. Dark Souls does a very good job of encouraging you to look in the distance, of painting big vistas and skyboxes. Skybox being the nerdy game designer word for what you see in the sky. And here you can see this place. There's a bell up top. Maybe that's the bell that rang that woke you up. A callback to the Bells of Awakening in the first Dark Souls game. There are a lot of callbacks to the first Dark Souls, and that's something I'm going to be discussing a lot. I think part of the way the game is so interested in legacy is by very deliberately positioning itself as a sequel to the first Dark Souls. And in a very direct way, thinking about the ideas and images of the first Dark Souls game. Derek Sanskrit in the chat says he'd like to be a bard. That would be fun, although, you know, I don't think a bard would do terribly well against this guy. I mean, maybe he likes music, I don't know, I'm gonna try. Maybe he's actually pretty friendly. Pull that sword thing out. And, you know, maybe you can be friendly to your bard here. Udex gun die. Big guy, big lumbering attack style. Though he's so tall, he has to go over him. Except for when they don't. You're not. It's fine. Everything's fine. Maybe I should talk about it. Let's try it up. Lightning. I could be doing better. It's pretty good. Give a little bit of this. Then, look at that. This weird, like, darkness, really snake thing. Now, this is very indicative of the type of Dark Souls 3 It's very billowy, sinewy, it moves in a not very unique way, and it's hard to tell what it wants to do. It doesn't telegraph attacks quite as clearly as it does. Something Dark Souls 3 seems very interesting, that it wants to use the design to show off its gameplay. By creating monsters that move in this very fluid, snake-like way where you can't tell what they're going to do. It wasn't so tough. I got the coiled sword. Sword missing from the shrine bonfire. Cannot be equipped as a weapon. Thrust into the shrine bonfire to restore its power and enable travels between bonfires. People are just loving my messages today. The sword is only bequeathed to chosen Ash, as judged by the Udex, who awaits the arrival of Ash as a scabbard. Guess that makes us chosen Ash, and he was the sword scabbard. The same sword that's in this bonfire, same type of sword. It's not the same one. Light the bonfire, and we'll rest. Cool. Now let's see what's going up ahead. Check the time here. Cool. Probably gonna stream for about an hour each time. Gonna try to do this maybe 2 or 3 times a week. That's my plan. Doors are a big deal. They very frequently are accompanied by these big dramatic emotions. Little cutscenes like that. And doors are almost always bigger than you. Like, who is this door for? The scale of it, it doesn't seem for a person quite your size. A little bigger than you, perhaps. The size of Udex, probably. That's interesting. You can see this very moody and gray light sunlight, but not really an indication given of the origin of the sun here. Detail I enjoy. Broken straight sword. Wants me to look at my broken straight sword? Okay. Let me see. Straight sword with a broken blade. Weapon with no exceptional qualities. Only a mad hollow would choose to fight with this. Well, fortunately, I'm not a mad hollow. So I can use something else. I'm using a weapon called the Black Blade. It's a katana. I'm going to try not to give too many item descriptions from items that I wouldn't have gotten in the new game yet, so anyone who doesn't want to be spoiled, who wants to go through a new game without knowing such things, shouldn't be a problem. So right now I'm using a weapon, which you can get by holding down the left trigger, with certain shields and with being two-handed. For the katana, it's this little Rurouni Kenshin stomp of ha or ha. It's very fun. Homeward Bone. Homeward Bones are pretty cool items. They let you go back to bonfires. Very handy. Okay. Heading up there. So, yeah, what I was saying about my thesis is that I think Dark Souls 3 is a game very fascinated by what it means to be Dark Souls 3, and also what it means to be a character in this world after big events have already happened. And the first game is concerned with an act called the Linking of the Fire. This is unraveled very slowly throughout the game, and you uses it without really understanding what's going on, such as the Dark Souls way. But Linking the Fire... Okay, let me back up a bit. The origins of the Dark Souls world are in fire. The idea is, there is the first flame, the origin of life, disparity, light and dark, a fire at the core of the world. And when the world began, the gods took power from this fire. They got the great souls from it, the Lord souls, the source of their power. I like by the way, these gravestones are sort of embedded into the side of the hill, as if there used to be more to this place, but it crumbled away. So yes. The gods got power from the fire, and they built a civilization, a society, but over time the fire began to fade, and it seemed like the world was going to end. So they tried to find ways to give the fire. What they've been doing is the Lord of Wind, the Lord of Sunlight. He went and joined his own soul to the fire. He was burned for, who knows, millennia? Eons? Oh, this guy's fun. Naked Katana guy, hello! So Gwen burned, but over time the fire began to fade again. And as a player, in the first Dark Souls game, you have the choice to take Gwen's place and link the fire, extending the age of fire and giving light and possibly life to the world. It's not clear what will happen if the fire goes out, but it's probably not great. At least not great for the gods. It might be okay for humans, that's unclear. But so that happened, and this occurs sometime afterwards, and it seems like we'll find indications that the fire has been linked several times in the past, perhaps thousands of times. And one big question that he was interested in is, what is it like to come after all of that? To be a person at the age of fire, perhaps very ending, after it's been extended again and again and again, the same bits of history repeating themselves constantly. This guy likes parrying me. Pay attention. Most enemies only parry at specific times. They have parry stances. You don't have a parry stance. That's an enemy thing to let you know when to not attack or they're going to parry the crap out of you. That's his weapon art. Got him. Katana, Master's Attire, Master of the World, so we'll look at that in a second. But, so this game is really, I think this through what it means to be the last, or possibly the last, in a very long, institutionalized cycle. Firelink Shrine. Firelink Shrine is the name of the rough hub area in the first Dark Souls as well. Another indication of the game's fascination with its own legacy, and with the legacy of its own world. Note how the environment is washed in this sort of twilight between, day and night, as if things are just about to end. This cycle has happened so many times. Maybe it'll finally be over? Maybe we'll put an end to it? I might be getting a little ahead of myself. We'll see later. Okay. Dogs. Weird zombie skeleton dogs. Dogs are very unpleasant in Dark Souls. Friends. Visions of night. Oh, look at that. Huh. That is a sword that's very similar to the sword of Artorias the Abyss Walker in the first game. I wonder if that... Interesting. Come back to that detail later. We also got a few items. I'm going to read the descriptions. Let's start with the Master's stuff. First from the Master we got... Where is it? I'll fix my inventory later so you don't have to do this. Uchi Katana. A unique katana characterized by the fine craftsmanship of an eastern land where it was forged. Cool. We also got the east-west shield. A wooden shield decorated with the ancient symbol of a two-headed eagle, close to a small shield in size. Wooden shields are light, manageable, and offer relatively high magic absorption, and seem kind of not the best at actually protecting you, though. So we got the Master's attire, a terribly worn shirt. Men are fond of weaving tales to explain the raggedness of their garb. I feel like the fact that it's only men here is on purpose, or at least I'd like to imagine it is. My sixth sense warned me of danger. I danced between flurries of blades, unscathed, but alas, my clothes went to tatters. You also got the Master's gloves. Terribly worn manchettes, same description. So I guess that was the Master we killed. I don't know why he's there. Protecting Firelink Shrine from invaders, possibly? I don't know. Speaking of, welcome to Firelink Shrine. Visions of comfort. Yes. Big, cavernous place. There are some items up there we can see, but we can't get to those right now. We go up here. There's just this walkway. The bonfire will deliver thee to Lothric. Dead end. No illusory walls. There are illusory walls in this game if you don't know. Certain walls have to hit them to break. This is Holy King Lothric, last hope of his line. Praise the Hollow. These are thrones. Empty thrones. Well, mostly empty. Lulith the Exiled. St. Aldrich of the Deep. Watchers of the Abyss, with similar swords to the one that was on that grave. A lot of them. And Yorm the Giant of the Profane Capital. He certainly does have a bigger chair than everyone else, doesn't he? I said the thrones were empty. Not all of them.
All that unkindled, and a seeker of lords.
Am I?
I am Ludleth of Corland. Look not in bewilderment as I say. I linked the fire long ago, becoming the Lord of Cinder. If substantiation be thy want, set thine eyes upon my charred corpse. This sad cadaver, no need to be coy. Have a closer look. Knowest thou of our purpose? 5 thrones will take 5 lords as kindling for the linking of the fire. The fast-fading flame must be licked to preserve this world. a reenactment of the first linking of the fire. So it is, I became a lord of Cinder. I may be but small, but I will die a colossus.
There's a lot of interest.
Treat the firekeeper not with discourtesy.
Her, presumably.
She is much like thee. Prisoners both, kept to link the fire.
So he said to look upon his body. Let's do that. He's clearly seen better days. Skin looks charred. He doesn't have legs, though it's not clear if that's new or old development. It certainly keeps him from leaving. It did not explain why he's the only lord here. But a lot of what I said earlier, oh, nice jump, he said in more elegant terms that 5 lords must take the throne to link the fire, and that's a reenactment of the first time this happened. He's already done it, he says. He's here to do it a second time, it seems. It seems that what happened, possibly, is that someone didn't. Someone refused to link the fire. And now, will the lords of Cinder have risen from their graves. Hey, buddy. You seem cheerful.
Ah, another one, roused from the sleep of death.
How many have there been?
Well, you're not alone. We unkindled are worthless.
You're one of them.
Can't even die right.
Good to know.
Gives me conniptions. And they'd have us seek the lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. But we're talking true legends with the metal to link the fire. We're not fit to lick their boots. Don't you think?
I don't know, friend. I don't know. I want to talk about what Corlin said a little more. I think it's very intriguing that he gives a reason for wanting to do this. In the first game, it's your choice to link the fire or not, and it's unclear if it's a good move. But Corlin frames it as this very noble, heroic thing to do. He has his own personal reasons. He's this small, possibly insignificant man, but by linking the fire, he can be a legend, he can be important, he can be an essential fabric of the world. That's really intriguing to me. That's a cool idea. Examine. The seed of a giant tree is yet to fall. Whereas the dude we just talked to, whose spoilers, his name is Hawkwood. Hawkwood seems depressed by the whole thing. I've heard that it's possible to do a sort of hack jump and bounce off of this to get up there. I'm not that talented, I'm not gonna try. At least not on stream, it's locked. The path around here leads to a tree. Cool. People are loving my messages. I wonder what messages it is. Probably this one. Betrayal. We'll see what I'm talking about later. Maybe on this episode, maybe on the next one. But yes. I hear another homeward bone. Sound like there's something alive. Yeah, Derek commented. Thanks for the comments, Derek. I appreciate you. That the sound design is exquisite, and it really is. Like, I just heard a really tiny clacking that sounded like it might have been an enemy. There's an incredibly subtle detail, and I can't find the enemy, so I'm not sure what he was even referring to. I don't know. Anyway, back to the Firelink Shrine, where we have one lord on from the throne, 4 missing. Let's talk to the lady in the middle. The firekeeper.
Welcome to the bonfire, unkindled one. I am a firekeeper. I tend to the flame, and tend to thee. The lords have left their thrones, and must be delivered to them. To this end, I am at thy side.
Why did the lords leave?
Ashen One, to be unkindled is to be a vessel for souls. Sovereignless souls will become thy strength. I will show thee how. Ashen One, bring me souls plucked from their vessels.
She's talking
Very
about
well.
leveling up.
Then touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls.
Don't have enough? That's fine.
Farewell, Asher may the flame.
I guess that's the way of New Game Plus. So we have a few open questions. What does it really mean being an enkindled one? Why did the Lords leave? And why should I bring them back? Could this be a couple more open questions? Could this be a woman or could this be a crab? Looks like a woman to me, but I don't know. I don't live near the ocean.
A pleasure to make thine acquaintance, Ashen One. I am but a humble handmaid of the shrine. Weapons, armor, trinkets, and spells. I've lots of little things to ease the burden of a weary traveler.
Her eyes are also covered.
And yes, I'm undead too, but not so charitable as to give my goods away.
Undeath, that's the given
Ashen
talk
One,
about yet.
fetch
That's very, very important.
souls and bring them to me. As is thy wont? No?
Yeah, probably. She's a vendor. She sells some stuff. Cool. Nothing we really need or want right now.
Ashen One, be sure to bring more souls.
Okay. She talks about being undead. Here's what she's talking about. Let's find it. Here we go. The Dark Sign. The Dark Sign is the sign of an accursed undead. The Dark Sign returns its bearer to the last bonfire rested at, or the bonfire at Firelink Shrine, but at the cost of all souls held. Carriers of the Dark Sign are reborn after death and eventually lose their minds, turning hollow. And so it is they are driven from their homelands. But here's a curious fact. You are supposedly a hollow, which means you can, an undead, rather, which means you can die. You come back to life every time you die, eventually going crazy. But you started this game rising from the grave. You were dead. How did you die? How does an undead finally die? Perhaps after becoming hollow? Perhaps after the licking of the fire? You can see the dark sign looks like a little ring of fire, and it's implied that it's a physical brand worn by the undead, either inflicted upon them or more likely just developed as if some sort of illness. It's called a curse very often. The unkindled appear to be undead. I'm a little different. I am a beneficiary. I have my ember restored. No unkindled can ever truly claim the embers that burn within a champion's bosom, which is precisely what makes the yearning for warmth so keen. Gain the strength of flame and increase max HP until death. With the strength of fire, the summoning signs of unkindled become visible, and seekers of embers can be summoned to join in cooperation. But beware, the embers may also attract invaders. By using an ember, you become an heir of fire, I believe is what it's called. And that's why my character model is a little bit on fire right now. Because I'm an ember. I've been an ember since the game started. I used one before the game started, and I ended up that way. Oh. This is my face, by the way. Hello. I'll leave that off for a little while. Let's talk.
Well, a newcomer, I see. I am Andre. I serve at this shrine as a humble smith, forging weapons. You're in search of the Lords of Cinder, I trust.
That's what everyone keeps
A
telling me.
toilsome journey, I'd wager. You'll require good arms.
You sure have a couple.
Let me smith
Look at
you
those arms, boy.
weapons.
Damn.
I am a smith. Such is my purpose.
He can do a lot of things for you. Blacksmith Andre. I think he just gives you informational
Weapons
stuff.
and protection are
Nothing with a
sturdy
lot of
enough
flavor
by
in it.
and large. But
Andre,
when
and also
overused, they'll
probably
eventually
the
break.
handmaid who sells items,
When
are
your
recurring
durability
characters.
is low, repair
Andre's from the
becomes a
first Dark Souls
necessity.
game. The
Use
handmaid
a powder,
looks
or
and
simply
sounds a lot
rest
like
at a
one of the
bonfire.
firekeepers from the start of Dark Souls
But
2.
should chance
One
impel
of the
them
old
break, bring them
firekeepers
me.
who no longer tend to
I'll
a
hammer them back
bonfire.
into shape. They take no pleasure in breaking, I assure you.
So this definitely occurs
So
after the first Dark
handle
Souls.
them with care, if you
But how
would.
long after is a really good
Pretty
question.
be careful.
I don't know.
I don't want to see my work squandered.
I'm glad to see the concern is personal. But it's interesting that they very directly return like this. In Dark Souls 2, they shied away from those sorts of direct connections and recurrences. Although, I guess it makes sense if they're undead. They could have been risen from the dead from some eon in the past, just like you were. Hence their return. Convenient excuse, I suppose, to remind you of the first and second games at every turn possible. Embed the coiled sword. This is how bonfires are made, apparently. Bonfires where you respawn after death. They are incredibly important hubs for action in the game. They're safe places. Sitting around a fire. Rest. You rest. And here you can travel. And tune spells. What magic do I want to take with me? Probably Great Heal. Not Homeward. Let's go with... No, I want to check out No and then Lightning Blade. These are miracles. I'm a miracle user. They're fun. Now we can move. There's not much else for us here right now. Bonfires we've already unlocked. You can warp to any bonfire. Let's go to the first place, the High Wall of Lothric. I'll tool around here for just a little bit, and then I'll call it quits for my first stream. Load times are pretty good, just a few seconds. I think they're a bit longer here because I'm streaming, takes some hardware power. Get a better look at my face. I'm not pretty, am I? Am I hollow? I am hollow. I can undo that with a purging stone. I'm a person. Hello. That's a mechanic that I can talk about some other time. It's complicated how hollowing works in this game. Hollowing is what happens to the undead. And typically it happened when you died in the first two games. Doesn't seem to be the case here. There's what looks like a broken coiled sword and a broken cup near a barred up window. Some sort of shrine perhaps. There used to be a bonfire here, but there is no longer. And there's a grate, perhaps a good place for starting a fire. Yeah, this looks like some sort of hidden little shrine. A long abandoned one though. This store looks more human sized. Welcome to High Wall of Lothric. Now the fact that this is a wall implies that this was where I was looking earlier. The wall that the Firelink Shrine sort of straddles. I can't see the shrine anywhere. There's stuff over there, but it doesn't look even like Firelink to me. It looks like a little town. More parts of the wall, a bridge. A broken bridge. And mountains and clouds in the distance. Still has that eerie twilight feeling. I really like the way the lighting functions. You can see a sort of blotted out sun by the clouds. And this big, beautiful castle and city. But right now, we're just on the high wall. You can see a cathedral down there. Other buildings in the distance. Some sort of manor down there. No vision of Firelink Shrine. But, you know, the law of conservation of detail would suggest this is probably the wall you were looking at earlier. I wonder why they're physically. What was in the way? Why you just not ready? I like breaking things. It gives me time to talk, and also it's just fun and satisfying. And here's another bonfire. Bonfires in this game are very clearly used to section off areas at the start and finish of places, or at useful stopping places. Here, even though we just keep the Firelink Shrine, and this is a safe place, there's a bonfire here to give you, you know, a location from which to explore. Let's take a look at this. That is one dead dragon. Looks like scales are flaking off in the wind. There's hollows climbing up trees, reaching for something. Not clear what. Maybe for a dragon. Maybe to get away from a dragon. And they're praying to the trees with the hollows on them. Not entirely clear what they're worshiping. But, well, okay then. Let's go this way first. Sadness ahead. Sounds great. Oh, right. Little ambush first thing here. Right over here. There's an archer. Hello, Mr. Archer. Thought he was gonna fool us. Dogs. Always with the dogs. I need to take 2 hits and die. Definitely New Game Plus. Guys, not really bothering anybody, but I'm in Soul Speed. I wasn't able to tell, didn't give the individual account. He has arrows. That's very interesting. Already been in and lost a fight. Many of them without heads, so that's comforting. Makes me feel real safe at home here. Backstab. Stand behind the enemy and don't move, but just stand there. Yep, and hit Y attack at the right time. Right bumper using or see, it's fun. I like the way it feels, but you can do a backstab. More tree climbing. As if they're reaching for the sun, maybe? It's not really entirely clear what happened here, but it was probably messy. Put my helmet back on, just to be on the safe side. Oh, Mr. Archer. Whoa, what happened to you? And that was my first death of the stream. I'm proud of myself. Okay, now I'm going to show you the much better way to handle that situation. Go back to here. Get his bolts, his crossbow bolts. Kill everybody, find the target. Watch your stamina so you don't run out and find yourself defenseless before a terrible dog of death. Where's Axe, dude? We're gonna pretend that's okay and keep going. Here's Big Helmet, dude. Halberd, I think it's a helmet. Not very up on my speed. I'm more of a sword man myself. So, let's deal with the big scary guy. Kill him before he transforms. No problem. These guys can be those dark snakes. Can be a real problem for a first time through this area. You don't know that just run out and kill them fast. They don't transform. Very useful. For a new player on the original new game, I guess that'd take about 2 hits. Another shrine. People were up on this wall praying for something. When they went hollow, were already hollow. For some reason, the hollow's basic instincts brought them here. I don't know. But hey, Axe Guy, there you are. I'd like to just talk a bit more about how striking the lighting is and the particle design here. That there is this sort of fog. It gives this feeling of altitude, which you do have some pretty considerable altitude. Like you can see that that's a place you're going to be able to go later because you can see messages on the ground. It gives a bit of altitude, but also contributes to this really distinctive feeling of twilight. Late twilight dusk, in fact. See an item in there, but that door doesn't open from this side. You have to find a way around later. Just the sense that the sun's about to set, which seems thematically very appropriate. This game so far has struck a very strong and consistent tone, which is things are in the process of ending. The fire remains unlinked, Lords of Cinder are gone, the sun is setting. And likewise, everything looks like kind of a disaster. Dead dragon. Now the dragons are interesting. They're connected very closely to the origin story of the world. According to the origin story, the ancient dragons were the first humans alive. They weren't really even quite alive. They were sort of pre-living beings. They're described as partners. They have stone scales. They're immortal. They don't really have a sense of time or change. It's said in the origin, the introduction of the first article, that fire introduced disparity, introduced change. There was no change in the dragons, they just were. Then they died, and they learned the secret of breaking their stone scales. They killed all of them. Massive, fantasy world genocide. Whether this is actually an ancient dragon or something else, some sort of dragon offshoot is unclear. What's unclear is that it's very dead. And its scales are flaking off into the wind. Beautiful, creepy. Okay. Let's go up here. They're praying to the dragon. That minor thing, right? The other dragon before it died. They're sitting in these little evocative scenes that I really enjoy. And drop down there. Might be an item. I don't know. Find out in a sec. I honestly don't know. I don't remember. Okay, you can't really climb up that guy. Something up here. Oh yeah, beware of enemies. I also want to point out there were those calls with the wooden bells that rang this terrible screaming sound. They woke up the sleeping guys to come and attack you. I like that in It's clever. Got binoculars. I already have binoculars. The purpose of binoculars in these games are really just to check out the view, to see what's happening, get another look at the big vistas here. Sun there. Okay. Let's see what's over here. Diamond in a window. Gold pine resin, which applies lightning damage to your weapon if you don't know. Which you might not. I'm trying to make this thing as friendly as I can. I've never played a Dark Souls game. It's a big experience watching one. But this game does reference the first one in so many ways that it's going to be difficult for me to keep up with all the things that need explaining. So hopefully it's something I'll lose less from explaining and more just analyzing what's happening, opposed to try to explain how it makes sense in the world. Not there yet. This game throws a lot at you. Back up these stairs. This is where we were. Okay. Go down these stairs. There's an item here. The item placement is ambient light so you can see the area better, which I think is very smart placement. Lots of little clever level design 101 tricks here to think about. I'm in love with that. You can go this way. See what's up here. Oh. Backtrack considerably less damage. Fire does stand. Ember. Club. Other items back there. I have a lot of souls. I'm gonna... So I want you all to note that this is going down the stair and having the first chest in the game. It's a fake chest. But instead it's this creepy monster thing. I hate this stuff. Does this weird me out? Not... crap. I kinda thought that was gonna be a kill. Well, that was a kill. Great. Great. Okay. So it's been about an hour. Got killed by a mimic. Looks like... that's a Dark Souls for you. Okay, I think this is where I'm gonna wrap up where I wrap up my first stream. I thank you very much for tuning in. And praise the sun, as they say in Dark Souls land. Bye guys. See you next episode on the second journey. Let's rest.